Over 6,000 Iranians are dead. The Iranian regime has crushed nationwide protests with brutal force. Videos show security forces shooting unarmed protesters in the streets. The internet is blacked out. Families can't find their missing children. Trump just openly called for regime change, saying it's time for new leadership in Iran. A U.S. aircraft carrier group is positioned in the region. One side demands we help Iranians overthrow tyranny. The other side warns of another catastrophic Middle East war. Today, SOPHIA and Liam battle. Should America intervene to save Iranian lives? Or stay out to avoid disaster? Here's the horrific situation unfolding. Nationwide protests erupted across Iran, demanding regime change. The government responded with deadly force. U.S.-based human rights activists news agency has verified 6,126 protester deaths, but warns the actual toll could be far higher. At least 180 security forces were also killed. The government has imposed a total internet blackout. Families can't communicate. The world can't see what's happening inside Iran. But here's what's going to shock you by the end of this video. American military intervention might kill more Iranians than the regime's crackdown. Iran has 85 million people, a powerful military, and nuclear program facilities. A U.S. attack could trigger regional war involving Israel, Saudi Arabia, and potentially Russia. Hundreds of thousands could die. But doing nothing means watching the regime slaughter peaceful protesters with impunity. The question, can we help Iranians without causing even greater catastrophe? Trump says regime change is necessary and achievable. Critics warn of Iraq 2.0, another failed intervention creating decades of chaos. SOPHIA says Iranian people are begging for help, and we have moral obligation to act. Liam says American intervention will make everything worse.
6,000 people are dead. The Iranian regime is committing mass murder against its own citizens. And we're supposed to just watch and do nothing? That's moral cowardice. The Iranian people are risking their lives for freedom. They're protesting despite knowing the regime will kill them. They're chanting death to the dictator in the streets. They want the regime gone. They need international support, and America is the only country capable of providing it. We don't need to invade. Strategic airstrikes on regime military facilities, supporting Iranian opposition groups with weapons and intelligence, enforcing no-fly zones to protect protesters. These are options that help Iranians overthrow tyranny without full-scale occupation. And it could get worse argument? It can't get worse for those 6,000 dead people. It can't get worse for families whose children disappeared into regime prisons. When a government is mass murdering its people, the international community has a responsibility to protect. That's not American imperialism. That's basic humanity.
SOPHIA wants to bomb Iran to help Iranians. That's insane. American military intervention will create catastrophe that makes the current tragedy look small. Iran is not Libya or Syria. It's a country of 85 million with a sophisticated military, ballistic missiles, and nuclear program infrastructure. U.S. strikes would trigger massive retaliation against American forces, against Israel, against Saudi Arabia. Regional war. Iranian regime would use American intervention to rally nationalists, claiming they're defending Iran from foreign invasion. That would strengthen the regime, not weaken it. And strategic strikes? Airstrikes kill civilians. Smart bombs destroy hospitals and schools. We've seen this in every intervention. Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria. Thousands more Iranians would die from American bombs than from regime crackdowns. The Iranian people need to determine their own future. Yes, it's horrific watching the regime's brutality. But American intervention has a track record. We destroy countries, create power vacuums, leave chaos, and abandon people to worse outcomes. Iran would become another failed state.
So we abandon Iranians to slaughter? Just say sorry, not our problem? That's exactly how genocides happen.
We support through diplomacy, sanctions, humanitarian aid, not bombs. Military intervention doesn't save lives, it multiplies deaths.
Diplomacy and sanctions have failed for 45 years. The regime doesn't care about sanctions while it's killing thousands. Action is required.
Action means war that kills hundreds of thousands. Iran isn't Iraq. It's bigger, stronger, and would fight back. You're advocating catastrophe.
So, we've got 6,000 plus dead, regime brutality continuing, and America facing the impossible choice between intervention and inaction. But here's what neither side is addressing, and this is critical. The U.S. has historically supported brutal Middle East regimes when convenient, only opposing them when they challenge American interests. Before we explore that hypocrisy, I need to know where you stand. SOPHIA, blue symbol. Iranians need help. We have moral obligation to intervene. Liam, red symbol. Intervention causes worse catastrophe. Stay out. Your vote matters. because intervention decisions determine whether thousands more die. Now, let's examine what intervention actually means.
Let me be specific about what limited intervention could achieve without full-scale war. First, targeted strikes on regime security infrastructure, IRGC headquarters, intelligence facilities, military command centers. This degrades the regime's ability to coordinate crackdowns while minimizing civilian casualties. It sends a message. Mass murder has consequences. Second, enforce no-fly zones protecting major protest areas. Iranian helicopters and drones can't be used against protesters if U.S. air power prevents it. This creates safe zones where protesters can organize. Third, provide covert support to Iranian opposition, weapons, communications equipment, intelligence. The Iranian people are already fighting. We just need to give them tools to succeed. This isn't nation-building or occupation. It's limited, strategic intervention to help Iranians who are already risking everything for freedom. The alternative, watching passively while thousands more die, is morally unacceptable. History will judge us for standing by during mass murder.
SOPHIA's limited intervention fantasy ignores every lesson of the past 30 years. Let me explain why each proposal is catastrophic. Targeted strikes. Iraq war started with precision strikes that killed thousands of civilians. Libya intervention destroyed the country. Syria intervention created ISIS. Limited strikes always escalate. Iran will retaliate against U.S. forces, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. That triggers regional war. No-fly zones. Requires destroying Iran's air defense systems nationwide. That's not limited. That's war. And enforcing it means U.S. pilots engaging Iranian jets, shooting down helicopters. When Americans die, pressure for full invasion becomes unstoppable. Covert support to opposition. We did this in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya. The groups we arm turn out to be extremists, warlords, or incompetents. We empower forces as bad as the regimes we oppose. Iranian opposition groups include actual terrorists. Every intervention starts with limited promises and ends with decades of chaos. SOPHIA's plan leads to hundreds of thousands of deaths.
6,000 people are already dead. How many need to die before you accept action is necessary? This is genocide.
And intervention kills even more. Iraq war killed 500,000. You're comparing 6,000 deaths to potential hundreds of thousands. That's not moral, it's insane.
And there's the impossible moral calculus. Is 6,000 dead from regime brutality worse than hundreds of thousands potentially dead from intervention? How do we compare certain horror now versus potential catastrophe later? But here's that uncomfortable truth we promised. America's Middle East policy has never been about human rights. We support Saudi Arabia's brutal regime because they sell us oil. We supported Saddam Hussein when he served our interests. We backed the Shah of Iran's dictatorship for decades. We only oppose regimes that challenge American dominance. If the Iranian regime suddenly agreed to favorable oil deals and ended its nuclear program, would we still care about these 6,000 deaths? The honest answer is probably no. That's not about morality. It's about geopolitics masquerading as humanitarian concern. The Iranian people deserve better than being pawns in great power competition. The real question isn't whether Iranians deserve freedom. They absolutely do. The question is whether American military power can actually deliver that freedom, or whether it just creates different kinds of suffering. Iraq was supposed to become a democracy. Afghanistan was supposed to be liberated. Libya was supposed to be saved. All became catastrophes. Can Iran be different? Or are we just repeating the same delusion that military force can solve complex political problems? Because that question, American power and its limits, connects directly to something happening right now that reveals the pattern perfectly. While debating intervention in Iran, Trump is simultaneously trying to expand presidential power domestically. The Supreme Court is deciding whether Trump can fire Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, attempting to bring monetary policy under direct political control. Same mentality. Belief that concentrated executive power can solve everything. Trump thinks he can fix Iran through military force and fix the economy through political control of the federal. Both ignore institutional limits, international complexity, and unintended consequences. Every living Fed chair and Treasury secretary united against Trump's power grab, warning that politicizing monetary policy causes economic crises. Will we listen to experts about Iran, or will we repeat the pattern of executive overreach creating disasters? That Federal Reserve battle affects your money, your job, your economic future directly. Constitutional crisis over whether presidents can control independent institutions. SOPHIA and Liam are about to explode over whether Trump should control the economy. That video is ready now. This affects every American. Watch it next.